Imagine mountains guarding a land where flames rise from the earth, rivers flow through ancient cities, and empires clashed for centuries. This is Azerbaijan, a crossroads of fire, culture, and history. What secrets does this fiery land still hide? Long before kingdoms or cities, humans roamed the Caucasus. Archaeological finds in Azak Cave reveal settlements from the lower Paleolithic era, dating back over 700,000 years. Tools and remnants of daily life showcase early intelligence and adaptation to harsh mountainous terrain. How might these early humans have imagined the future they were shaping in stone and fire? By 4000 BCE, early civilizations formed along the Kura and Aras rivers, cultivating crops, domesticating animals, and creating intricate pottery. Flames naturally erupting from the earth led to Azerbaijan being called the Land of Fire, inspiring religious rituals and spiritual beliefs. What kind of myths and legends would arise from the flickering fires that lit their nights? Mountains, rivers, and fire forged resilience and innovation, while the land's location as a crossroads of Europe and Asia made it a target for successive waves of invaders. How would a society balance survival and creativity in such a volatile place? By the first millennium BCE, Azerbaijan was home to kingdoms like the Manians and Caucasian Albania, developing trade networks connecting the Caspian coast to Mesopotamia, Persia, and the Black Sea. Cities rose along rivers, with fortresses protecting fertile valleys. What would it have been like to walk these fortified streets during a festival, surrounded by traders from distant lands? The region became a meeting point of cultures. Zoroastrianism flourished, influenced by the naturally burning flames from Yanar Dag and the Ateshga fire temple, which became centers of worship and cultural identity. How did the people reconcile daily survival with spiritual devotion to the ever-burning fires? Persian, Greek, and later Roman influences left marks on architecture, governance, and art. Caucasian Albania's kings maintained local power while engaging in diplomacy and trade, balancing survival with ambition in a land of competing empires. Could one dynasty truly hold the threads of history in their hands while neighbors plotted their fall? From the 11th century onward, Oghuz Turkic tribes migrated into Azerbaijan, merging with local Caucasian and Persian populations. They brought language, nomadic traditions, and military skills that reshaped society. How might two distinct cultures blend their identities while preserving the essence of each? By the 13th century, the Seljuk Empire controlled much of the region, introducing governance reforms, art, and scholarship. Cities such as Baku, Ganja, and Shamaki became centers of commerce and learning. Merchants traveled along Silk Road routes, exchanging silk, spices, and knowledge. What stories did travelers bring from lands so distant they seemed mythical? The 13th century brought the Mongol invasions, razing cities and displacing populations. Yet Azerbaijan survived. Its mountainous terrain and resilient communities allowed recovery and adaptation. How did families rebuild lives on the ashes of empires, keeping hope alive in the shadows of destruction? Local dynasties like the Atabegs of Azerbaijan rebuilt cities, established fortifications, and promoted arts and sciences. Scholars, poets, and architects continued their work, proving that culture could endure even amidst devastation. Which creations from that era would survive the centuries to inspire generations yet unborn? The Shirvanshah dynasty, 861 to 1538, became a beacon of continuity. Capitals like Shamakhi and later Baku flourished as centers of trade, architecture, and learning. Could a single dynasty shape an entire culture so profoundly that its influence echoed centuries beyond its rule? Poets such as Nizami Ganjavi composed epics blending romance, morality, and history, influencing literature far beyond Azerbaijan. Music and traditional arts thrived, with Mugham melodies echoing in palaces and public squares. What emotions did those first notes stir in the hearts of listeners long ago? Follow along and subscribe to keep exploring the world's untold stories. By the 16th century, Azerbaijan became a key part of the Safavid Empire, connecting it to Persia's political and religious sphere. Shia Islam became the dominant faith, shaping societal norms, education, and governance. How did faith transform daily life for farmers, merchants, and rulers alike? Architecture flourished with mosques, madrasas, and palaces, blending Persian artistry with local tradition. Silk production and trade expanded along the Caspian coast. Could the rhythm of trade and devotion shape a culture as much as kings and conquerors? The 17th and 18th centuries turned Azerbaijan into a battleground between Ottoman and Russian empires, with control shifting repeatedly. How did local leaders navigate allegiances while protecting their people's heritage? Fortresses, mountain passes, and rivers became vital for defense. Merchants adapted trade routes to survive political instability. Culture persisted through poetry, architecture, and music, blending influences from multiple empires. Could the soul of a nation remain unbroken amidst constant external pressures? By the early 19th century, Azerbaijan came under Russian control after the Russo-Persian Wars. Cities modernized, new schools and newspapers emerged, and intellectual movements sparked cultural revival. How could education and literature ignite identity under foreign dominance? Figures like Mirza Fatali Akundov pioneered literature, education, and theater, laying foundations for modern Azerbaijani identity. Music, art, and architecture continued to flourish, preserving a unique national spirit. Which aspects of tradition survived intact through waves of political change? The discovery of Baku oil fields transformed Azerbaijan's economy and global significance. Could natural wealth alter the fate of a nation caught between empires? In 1918, the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic declared independence, the first secular democratic state in the Muslim world. Baku became a hub of politics, education, and culture. How did a tiny republic assert itself on the world stage amidst giants and turmoil? By 1920, Azerbaijan became part of the Soviet Union, integrating into a communist political and economic system. Industrialization expanded, education became widespread, and cultural policies shaped literature, music, and arts. How did people adapt tradition within the framework of imposed ideology? Traditional practices persisted alongside Soviet reforms, creating a hybrid of innovation and heritage. Cities like Baku combined oil wealth with grand architecture. Could a nation's spirit survive while political power was centralized elsewhere? The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 restored Azerbaijan's independence. The country faced economic hardship, territorial conflicts, and political challenges, including the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. How does a nation heal and rebuild after decades of external control? Despite obstacles, Azerbaijan modernized infrastructure, revived cultural institutions, and expanded global connections. Music, poetry, and art celebrated history while embracing modernity. Could a nation blend its past and future into a thriving present? Azerbaijan's Mugham music blends poetry, melody, and improvisation, echoing centuries of storytelling. Traditional carpets, intricate architecture, and epic poems reflect resilience and creativity. What melodies could speak louder than any battle or treaty? Cities, mountains, and rivers are living museums of identity, preserving heritage while inspiring innovation. Could culture itself serve as a compass for national survival through tumultuous centuries? The Caucasus Mountains provide protection, challenge, and inspiration. Rivers like the Kura and Aras nurture agriculture, trade, and settlements. The Caspian Sea connects Azerbaijan to global commerce. Could a land's geography dictate the character of its people as much as their rulers? Azerbaijan contributed to mathematics, engineering, and medicine. Scholars preserved ancient knowledge while innovating in modern disciplines. How did ideas survive and flourish even when borders and governments changed? From medieval astronomy to modern oil engineering, science became a thread linking past and present. Could intellectual achievement leave a legacy even more enduring than empires? Today, Azerbaijan balances heritage and modernization. Baku's flame towers light up the skyline, while ancient fortresses and temples remain preserved. Festivals, music, literature, and art coexist with high-tech industries and global commerce. How does a nation honor centuries of history while reaching for the future? Azerbaijan is more than geography or politics. It is the story of pride, fire, culture, and intellect. Mountains, rivers, and cities whisper centuries of triumph, struggle, and creativity. Could a land at the crossroads of empires, faiths, and ideas ever be ordinary? The land of fire remains eternal, its history echoing through music, architecture, literature, and the hearts of its people. What lessons will the world take from the legacy of this resilient, fiery nation? Which empire, Persian, Seljuk, or Mongol, shaped Azerbaijan's history the most? What role did the Silk Road play in connecting Azerbaijan to the wider world? In History in Minutes, we answer to these questions of the fascinating history of every country in the world, one by one, in alphabetical order. Today we uncovered another country, starting with A. And the journey continues. Next up is Antigua and Barbuda.